So we're on the fourth part of these videos on knowledge and awareness. Let's listen to the exciting conclusion. We've come to the end of our series examining how we can better interact with our instruments. Looking back, we've covered basics on upper body construction, left hand structure and usage, 2 separate videos on shoulder rests, and now we're finishing up by tying this knowledge all together by looking into awareness as a tool to utilize what we've learned in order to maximize our playing. But first, we do have some housekeeping to tend to. There are like and subscribe buttons right under this video that are just itching to be clicked, and it would really help us out if you might do that. The algorithm enjoys it, and it lets us know that you're following these videos, and we thank you for that. So what do we mean by awareness? My usage of it is our ability to know exactly what's going on in our playing, both physically and sound-wise, to allow our body to adjust itself to its optimal positions and movements. The problem we encounter in achieving this is that we have issues that inhibit our ability to really be cognizant of what we're doing. One of these is a lack of good sensory input. Humans are visually oriented beings, but the violin and viola just don't lend themselves to a good visual interaction. Think of pianists, cellists, percussionists. So much of their instruments are laid out visually right in front of them, making an attachment to their instruments and their playing that much easier. We're in effect flying blind while playing because our most heavily relied upon sense doesn't really connect us to our playing experience. Another is the fact that how we hold our instruments leaves a bit to be desired ergonomically wise. Again, look at pianists, cellists, percussionists, most any other instrumentalists. Their instruments sit on the floor, on their knees, or held in their hands in a way that doesn't really upset their bodies. We place our instruments toward the tops of our bodies, cantered off to one side asymmetrically, our arms cartwheeling in space, heads turned off to one side. It's a huge ask of us to be aware at all of what's going on, and to just not fall over. And also, our holding equipment often is not conducive to comfort for many of us. And I think this is a really important point. As we saw in the shoulder rest videos, our chin and shoulder rests often direct weight to body parts that are ill-suited to support the instrument. So what does it take to have a greater awareness of what we're doing? We can answer that by processing a question that clients will ask me. The same question I asked myself and my colleagues for decades, really. How do you hold this thing? And this isn't just a rhetorical question. We really didn't know. We can see that great players hold their instruments in totally different ways. Well, how did they choose those ways? What was the process by which they made their decisions? I think much of it has to do with the ability to really be aware of body input. For many of us, when we try being more aware of our bodies while playing, we come up against quite a bit of pain, so we retreat back to a state of unawareness to avoid the pain. But if we can develop motions and holds that produce a baseline level of comfortability and ease, then we can explore the finer points of what fits our individual bodies without fear of coming up against all this pain. Having a basic setup that works with the body will allow us to crawl out from under the rock without fear of this blinding pain, and to start to listen to our body's feedback on where, for instance, it wants the instrument to balance on the shoulder. Click this way, half-inch down, etc. We can ask our body where it would like the violin to be, and it will help us adjust to that position. Now, do remember that each player's positions will be different, as we have different shapes, as well as different muscle lengths, tendon laxity, ligament flexibility, and so forth. So, developing a good knowledge of natural motion, and then a good sense of awareness, will allow you to ask your body these questions, and then listen to your body for feedback, determining whether a position has more or less resistance, pain, and so forth. You'll find your body actually teaching you what position it wants to assume. And back to that question of how to hold the violin, no one can answer that for you. There are no quick and easy answers. We're setting up a situation where you can ask your body where it wants the instrument to sit and where you can be comfortable enough to listen for the answer. And it will present the correct answer to you if you listen. Now, all this sounds really good, but the reality is not quite as rosy. Let's look at some of the problems and find ways around them. One is that you're probably going to have to compromise your hold. I have a personal for instance on this one. I've always admired Pinka Zuckerman's playing, his sound, left hand, violin hold, everything. Well, several years ago I thought I would try to emulate what he does. He holds the violin quite far down into the front, so I took a Wolf Forte Secundo and put it on my violin backwards, and my bow arm felt great. I've never sounded that good. My left hand complained a little bit, but was able to adjust. But after 2 weeks, I had literally dislocated my jaw. The hold pushed it completely out of its joint. That was quite painful, but it taught me something. If we look at violin playing as having 3 parts, the right hand, the middle, and the left hand, I simply could not find a position in which all 3 would work at 100%. With the experiment, my right hand was functioning at 100%, my left hand at maybe 80%, and my middle holding part at about -10%. My natural holding pose is quite off far to the left, and the left hand likes it just a little more to the center, but my right arm is just not long enough or flexible enough to reach around for that. So I had to find a compromise by moving the violin just a little bit to the center. None of the 3 components are completely happy, but they all function at about 95%, which is probably about the best I can manage. And also, we're ultimately playing a loser's game. The instrument's placed above the body, cantilevered out to one side asymmetrically, and this will force the vertebrae and the pelvis out of position no matter how clean our technique is. Because of this, I highly recommend restorative work with an Alexander Technique practitioner, a yoga instructor, a good chiropractor, or a massage therapist to keep a healthy alignment. So, there we are with knowledge and awareness. What we can take away from this is that we can make our playing experience better by getting to know how our muscles, joints, bones, etc. work, and then being aware of our body's input on how we're using them, so that we can listen to our body on what we're doing right and what it would like us to do differently. Remember, your own body is the final arbiter on whether a certain pose, position, hold, or chin or shoulder rest work for you. No one else can ultimately decide that for you. So listen to yourself. You'll find the player you always wanted to be. And this way we can make the violin and viola a most natural instrument. As usual, thanks for staying through all of this and for watching the entire series. We've had a bit of a journey on our path to find ways for you and your instrument to live together, and I hope it's been helpful. So, what's your story on finding your own path to holding the instrument and body movement in general? I'd be thrilled to hear about it. Leave your comments below. Your path is very valuable to all of us, and we can all learn great tips from each other. We'd love for you to visit us at wavechinrest.com. We have lots more information on instrument holding and playing, and our buy one, try 4 option is always ready to help you out with multiple models and heights to try for a 30-day trial period. In addition, I'm happy to do free video chat consultations for any individual input that you might want. Liking and subscribing would also be highly appreciated. This next video is just waiting for you to watch it, and I'll see you next time.